Today I'm going to resize some 38 brass. It's already been deprimed and it's already been run through cleaning media in a centrifuge, and so I'm going to resize the brass today. It has a light coat of oil on it. What I usually do is I spray it in a bag with some brass in the bag, and then I just shake it up, and that gives you a light coat of oil to help lubricate the cases as you resize them. This is at the point in the process where you start to repackage the rounds. Once I resize them, I usually put them in a tray so that they can't possibly get mixed in with other brass. And this also helps me organize things. Before this, I kind of keep them as you've seen before in some of my other videos, in a jumble or in a bag or in a box. Sometimes I even use a painting tray. It's just a place to put them after I deprime them. But now that I'm actually sizing the brass, I start taking a little more care of it. It's a pretty simple process. You can pretty much do it with one hand. Like I've said before, you can do this a little bit faster. You can make this a single process where you deprime and resize simultaneously. But I'm in no hurry, as I said before, and breaking things out into stages kind of helps beginners figure out what's going on step by step. Some people get confused when you overcomplicate the process and do too many actions at once. So the purpose of this video, along with the others I've been doing, is to kind of give you a step-by-step process so that you can see each function and see each activity. That way it doesn't get jumbled. I may do a series later that's a little bit faster. But again, this is just to give you an idea of how the process works. So we're still resizing the brass. Just had to get a little more to put on the table. Now this reloading press is just set up on a 12 by 12 piece of plywood. I think what I did was take two half-inch pieces of plywood. I glued them together with carpenter's glue, and I drilled 4 holes, one in each corner, and I also screwed the plates. Maybe I'll give you some close-ups of those in the video. This setup I wanted to make fairly mobile. This one I can take over to my brother-in-law's or my friend's place, and we can kick back and work with it. Usually all I do is clamp this one down with a couple of carpenter C-clamps, and they're not even expensive ones. You can get them at Harbor Freight or Home Depot for a couple of dollars, and you can clamp them on almost any work surface that has an edge. You can clamp them on a desk, you can clamp them on a tray from an old metal desk like I've got here, and then you can put it away real easy. It's not a big deal. this being a hobby, I like to do it with other people, so sometimes I'll take this mobile rig with me over to my buddy's house, and we'll just kick back and they'll work on theirs and I'll work on mine, and we'll talk and compare notes and talk about loads we're trying out and things we're doing with our reloading and our firearms. There's a fairly quick process. Nothing here, even when you stage it out like this. I think if you've been watching the other videos, you can see that typically I can do a single stage of production, even on this relatively simple setup. I can usually do a couple hundred rounds through a single stage in under 20 minutes. And so it doesn't take very long. Once you start combining the processes like sizing your brass and popping your primers and inserting primers, powder, and ultimately your brass, once you start combining actions, it really takes down the amount of time necessary to do this. Like I said, we'll probably go ahead and I'll shoot a video showing you a combined operation after I finish this series of single steps. But you've probably been with me now for about 5 or 6 minutes and listening to me drone, and I am I've got 3 rounds left to go, and I've got 50 sized, so it doesn't take very long at all. And I'm taking my time. I'm really not moving very fast. I can do this a lot quicker if I choose to. But I want you to see the system. It's very meditative. It's a lot of fun. So there's 50 rounds, and I would estimate that was under 5 minutes, maybe 6 on the outside, moving at a relative slow and snail-like pace. I think if you watch the other videos, it's about the same pace I had popping primers too. It takes about 5 or 6 minutes to do 50 rounds. So you can imagine the whole operation. Once you combine your activities and you set up your system and your dies, you can reasonably expect to make 100 rounds in under an hour. Alright, so I've got 50 .38 caliber brass cartridges on the table. We're going to resize them. We're basically going to see how long it takes to do 50. People have been asking, and I've shot other videos, but they were in several cuts, so I'm going to try and run through these in one cut so you can see how much time it takes to resize about 50 rounds. Now, I'm not going too fast, but let's I don't think it's going to take us very long. Nice thing about this brass is I've already run it through the centrifuge. It's clean. It's been lubed already. I just I dumped the rounds in a plastic bag and went ahead and sprayed a light mist into the bag and then shook it up with a dry lube. And so this process should move along pretty quickly. Really don't think we're going to take more than 5 minutes to do this many rounds. And normally this is a combined operation. We're just sizing right now, but we're doing the staged videos, as I've said, each step of the process, so that people can see them unfold without confusing them. It helps a lot of people to be able to think of things as a process and breaking out the individual steps can be very helpful sometimes. Especially when you buy these reloading kits and you get these nebulous instruction packets that don't really give you a lot of information. And if you don't have a resource to talk to, like other people who do it and have been doing it for years, or a local shop that's real informative, it's just kind of nice to see the process broken out and see how simple it really is. It's not a big deal. Basically, you're doing what people who load muzzle loading black powder weapons do, with slightly different materials, but all the same component types. So it's not a scary process. It's pretty simple. I always recommend taking your time, and as I may have mentioned before, this is my portable setup. Got it set up so I can drag it to a friend's place, and so it's a little bit shaky. It's just mounted on a 12 by 12 piece of plywood. It was glued together with Elmer's wood glue. Screws put through each corner. The heads of the screws act as legs underneath, and then I C-clamp it to my work surface with just carpenter C-clamps. It makes a nice stable work surface. I've only got 2 C-clamps on here today, and I'm actually on a metal tray, a pull-out metal tray on a steel desk. And yeah, it shakes a little bit, but it's more than stable enough. And if I really wanted to stabilize it, I'd go put it on my regular workbench, or mounted directly on the corner of a desk like this to stabilize it. But it's not really necessary at this point in the process. I'll throw some more clamps on it or something for future videos. When I start measuring powder, I'll probably tighten things up a little bit. But it's a pretty simple process, as you can see. I mean, we're down to the last 15 rounds already. It does not take very long at all to resize brass and to pop the primers. The whole process is pretty simple. Some guys complain that these single dies or these single presses are slow and onerous. But I find the process meditative, and it gives me time to think about things. It gives me time to plan, and it's just fun. And I don't know what these guys are planning to do, but I don't usually find myself in a position where I need to reload 10,000 rounds in an hour. If I can reload 100 in a half an hour, I'm happy, because usually 100 rounds is going to mean several hours of fun for me down at the range, and that's where I'd rather be, just having fun. And I don't need to race. It's not like I'm running into combat. So we're down to the last 2 of our 50, and I'll put it, the time increments will be on the film for you. There we go, last round, that's 50. So as you can see, it doesn't take very long to resize brass. This entire video took about 14 minutes, and I resized over 100 rounds. In the future videos, we're going to go ahead and start repriming, measuring powder, and placing and crimping bullets. I look forward to seeing you. Remember, stand up for your Second Amendment rights, join the NRA, start a local shooting club or join one, participate in shooting events, and have a good day. Thank you.